and rock and roll, and other concerns of today's teens. So be sure to stick around for this special edition of Medical Journal.
Edell's Medical Journal. And now with a special edition of Your Prescription for Good Health, Dean Edell.
Enthusiasm, it can't hurt you. Welcome to our special edition of Medical Journal. Now, we're going to talk about sex, drugs, and rock and roll and other teen concerns about growing up in the 80s. Now, first, I got to show you a picture. Take a look at this picture because it's, that was a different period in history, and that's me. All right? That was called the 60s. Remember the 60s? Okay. Get the laughter over with. Let's get it over with. Okay. All right. That's it. I know it looks funny, but things haven't changed too much, or have they? You know, then it was free love. Now it's not so free. You think about AIDS and sexually transmitted diseases. Then the only drug around was marijuana. Today we worry about alcohol and crack. Then the only concern about rock and roll is how loud and where should you sit at a concert. You know, you want to get too close to the speakers. Now we think about the psychological effects, satanic music, heavy metal. But the continuing theme hasn't really changed over the years, has it? And that is that being a teenager ain't easy.
Sex and drugs and rock and roll.
You know if you get AIDS, you're gonna die.
Sex and drugs and rock and roll.
Nobody has admitted to me that they smoke crack all by itself. But I know people who do just about every other drug.
Sex and drugs and rock and roll.
It's just really scary kind of being a young adult now.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Since the 60s, they've been considered the rite of passage for teenagers. But compared to teens in the 60s, today's teens have the weight of the world on their shoulders because sex, drugs, and rock and roll all carry a price.
They didn't have to worry about really big diseases that kill, and the drugs weren't, you know, as big a problem then.
Today, you can die from sex, die from drugs, even die from the cigarette in your hand. Then add to this the pressures to succeed.
Getting good grades would be the best, most important thing right now.
We're just expected to do more. You know, my generation is expected. I don't know, for some reason they expect all of us to go off to Ivy League schools. I mean, we can't all go to Harvard.
Compounding the problem is the fact that most teens now come from broken homes. Today's generation shows the stress it's under. Nearly 25% of teen boys and over 40% of teen girls have thought of committing suicide. Clearly, being a teen of today is not as innocent or carefree as we like to believe. All right, let's talk to some teenagers about their concerns. We've got a bunch of them gathered here from a couple of high schools. What's on your mind? What are the big concerns today for teenagers? Is it college and dating, or is it AIDS, or drugs, or what? What do you think? Stand up for me. Give me your thoughts.
For the most part, out there in Oakland, it's probably the drugs, the way they circulate around the schools, the area, the places where people are. Also, sex is cool, though. You know?
No, wait. Translate that. I mean, sex is cool. You're not concerned about it?
Okay, well, I'm concerned about the sexual transmitted diseases such as AIDS, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and all that. So that today's teens, we are more prepared with older people showing us what to do. You know, it's feel better. You know, it's better for you to talk about it openly. And the more you talk about it, the more people learn from it.
That's important, isn't it, to learn about it? All right, what else? Other concerns? Over here, you have concerns? What do you think about? Just because you shook your head, I want to hear what your concerns are. How can you not have concerns?
I guess just about the social scene and how people, you know, react to cliques and
Cliques, that's still a big thing in school, huh?
Yeah.
If you're in or you're out. Yeah, it's a lot of trauma, isn't it, socially dealing with it?
Yeah, and if you don't fit in, I don't know.
Fitting in, that's a big one. Right over here, I'm going to come over here and ask you some of your concerns. Yeah. You raised your hands, can't resist that.
Well, I don't think it matters if you live in Oakland or San Ramon. I mean, wherever you live, sex and drugs and all that, it's all going to be a big part of it.
So you have a concern, even though...
Yeah, I mean, wherever you live, that's part of life. You just have to deal with it.
Yeah? How do you handle it? How do you handle it?
How do I handle it? I you know, I don't ignore drugs. I don't do drugs. But when you go to a party, you know, there's always alcohol and drugs there.
Well, we're going to talk in a second, you know, about that, because I'm going to want to hear the kind of behavior you use, coping behavior that that prevents you from getting involved, where some people, they get involved, and we'll try to discern some of the differences of why that is. When we return, we're going to dig into this a little more deeply, specifically drinking and drugs and today's teens. Stay tuned.
This year, 90 million people complained about the weather. 10 million complained about waiting in line. 60 million complained about their bosses. But according to J.D. Power's latest survey of new car owners, there were fewer complaints about the Nissan Maxima than any other car, which makes the Nissan Maxima the most trouble-free car sold in America, and leaves Maxima owners free to complain about more important things.
You may not believe what I'm about to tell you, such is the nature of advertising. But let me tell you about a revolutionary product from Hormel. Top Shelf, a complete line of main course meals that stay fresh without the use of a freezer, a refrigerator, or for that matter, a single preservative. They microwave in 1/3 the time it takes frozen, and they taste like they're fresh from the kitchen. Well, that may sound like quite a mouthful, but then it is.
Every player is a winner playing blast. Hey! Blast back with that. Buy a medium or larger soft drink, pull the sticker, and blast back. Win cash or prizes. Or McDonald's food at all-time prices. Blast back. Like a 59-cent Big Mac. With Mac.
Or fries for a quarter.
You may even win an RCA video camcorder. Play once, play again. 'Cause every time you play, you win. I won.
Me too.
When you blast back with Mac at McDonald's.
The Home Depot is much more than low prices.
There are other people who might try to compete with us price-wise, but they can't offer the service. And that's what we do offer. We offer the complete service as well as the best price.
We've got it for a better price than anybody in town. We guarantee it, you know.
We have competitors who buy from us because they can save money.
Home Depot, where low prices are just the beginning. Like the ElectraPack 6-outlet surge protector, only $16.82 at Home Depot.
Everybody must get stoned.
60s kids got stoned on marijuana, but it wasn't addicting. Today, marijuana use is at an all-time low.
Cocaine, crack, basically, marijuana, acid, opium, all kinds of drugs, you know, almost any drug that you could think of. You know, I know people that do or experiment with them.
Crack is the most serious problem because it's so addicting and relatively cheap, less than $10 a hit. But the semi-good news is that first-time use has leveled off to less than 5% in high school seniors surveyed.
Hey, give me a beer!
The real problem drug is alcohol, and the seeds of the problem are planted at an early age. The media bombards kids with ads for alcohol. When a test was given to children aged 7 to 12, the average youngster could name more than 5 brands of booze, but only 4 United States presidents. 8-year-olds could spell Budweiser, but didn't know any presidents' names. From the earliest age, the message is drink and teens do.
Me and my buddies would go out, go get like 240 ounces of OD, and go get blasted every night.
There's kegs, 40 ounces, people downing those, tequila, vodka. Talking about everything is there, and you can get it easily, too.
A lot of my friends drink, and when we go out, and when we do drink, it's pretty much to get drunk.
Almost 40% of teenagers admit to having 5 or more drinks at one time within the last 2 weeks. 1/3 to getting drunk at least once a week. Let me ask you a question, somebody here. What are the in drugs today? What are the hottest drugs? What do you hear most people getting involved with? What's good? What's bad? Yeah, let me hear it. Let's just stand up for me.
Crack and is one. What's
crack? So you think the press isn't overblowing it? This is a very real problem.
Crack is very real, and it's a new one called ecstasy.
New one called ecstasy.
Yeah.
And you've heard about people in your school taking this?
I heard about people taking crack at school, but I don't know about ecstasy.
Let's get down to basics here. Why do you think people take drugs? That's not complicated, is it? stand up.
Basically, I think most of it has to deal with peer pressure and all. I mean, some people probably find out the pleasure of it or something. I mean,
All right, well, let's not hop over that pleasure. I mean, people think it feels good, I guess. They think it feels good.
from what I hear, that's what they say.
Yeah. All right, so you sound to me like you've been, from what I hear. Would you buy a used car from this guy? Are we going to believe him? All right, we're at a party, okay? You and I are sitting there, we're getting along, we're good buddies, and all of a sudden a joint appears from nowhere, all right? I take it, hey, man, here's this. What are you going to do? What do you say?
Turn around and leave.
You turn around, now truthfully, you turn around and leave?
Well, I have no
come on,
intention.
man, just one little
I
puff.
have no intention of taking drugs.
Oh, come on. One little puff's not going to kill you. Marijuana doesn't kill anybody. A little fun. We'll go over there, we'll meet those girls, huh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right? Really? You'd resist me that way?
Yeah, well, I never want to take drugs. I mean, from what I hear about them, it's real scary.
You drink?
I have before, yeah.
Yeah. Is alcohol a drug in the system that you think about it?
It is a drug, yeah. I mean, people mainly do it for pleasure, you know.
Yeah, it's a drug. It's a mind. I mean, if alcohol came on the market today, what do you think? It'd be illegal, wouldn't it? Alcohol would be illegal.
Alcohol, it alters your feelings, and you're more apt to go up to people and say, hey, do you want a date? But I feel that I really don't need alcohol to get a date.
Yeah,
That's the way I feel. You don't need alcohol to pick up chicks.
Yeah, well, alcohol has a funny role in the mind. It makes some people more aggressive, especially people with a genetic predisposition to it. Gives them a little more guts. You had a question. Why don't you stand up?
It's more of a comment, but I think that a major problem in our community is there's nothing for teenagers to do but to go out and party and drink. So if you're just bored, you just go get wasted. You know, it's.
You know, that's a good question, and because in times past it was different, and we've developed an urban culture, and you don't have the automatic things to do that other cultures have, and this represents boredom. Of course, I mean, if you were busy and had something that really fascinated you and you loved to do, who would even look at drugs? That's a good issue. I mean, we can throw back a little blame in our culture. Good point, good point. You had a question? Yeah, stand up.
Yeah, with steroids, how bad is it for a teenager to use steroids while lifting? What is the major side effects?
It's awful. Let me tell you a couple of things that happen. And isn't it funny how drug use changes? You know, we're worried about crack, and all of a sudden something new comes along. Here comes steroids. We used to think only Olympic athletes. Well, it is popular among teenagers. The first things that it'll do, it'll make your testicles smaller. You wouldn't want that, would you?
Nah.
Okay, your muscles are getting bigger, but everything else is getting smaller. It causes aggression. It has extreme psychological problems. I read a story recently of a guy who was taking steroids, and to show you get this bravado, you're invincible, took his car 40 miles an hour and drove into a tree while his friend videotaped it. Now that's a home videotaper, right? Some people make pictures of their kids. This guy got pictures of him driving himself 40 miles an hour into a tree. And luckily he wasn't killed, but that's what steroids can do.
I don't really think the problem is drugs and alcohol. I think it's more of a problem of self-esteem and people using drugs and alcohol as a way of escape.
I think you
And we should focus more on that problem.
I think she just hit the nail on the head, didn't she? Self-esteem. If you had to pick one phrase, one term that determines really who you are as a human being, it's your self-esteem. Because if you don't believe in yourself and you don't think you're quite so hot, okay, that's going to be reflected in a lot of your behavior, and that's where drugs come in. They boost your self-esteem. Alcohol, someone said before how alcohol makes you feel. That's terrific. It makes you feel good. It boosts your self-esteem. So look inwards and examine yourselves and how you feel about yourself, and I think you'll discover a reason why you want to join the groups and why peer pressure affects you. Boy, a lot of stuff to think about. All right, there's still more Medical Journal to come. Next up, we're going to talk about the age of AIDS and how it's affecting teenagers' concerns about sex.
Everyone knows that everything goes.
Get $500 to $2,000 cash back or financing as low as 0% on select new models. Get $750 back on Plymouth Sundance with 47 standard features, including a 2.2-liter engine and AM/FM stereo.
Every Chrysler, every Plymouth, every deal a real winner.
Buy one at your Bay Area Chrysler Plymouth dealer today.
At Caro's Restaurants, Dan Yanez has taken pride for 21 years in bringing you great quality and value, like our nightly chef specials, a selection of old-fashioned dinners that give you a great taste of home and still go easy on the pocketbook at only $5.29.
At Caro's, we're serving great specials all day, every day.
It's a way that we make you happy in everything we do. Come and see how Carol's cares for you.
Sealy, Serta, and Spring Air mattresses are 40 to 50% off now through Monday at Emporium Capwell. Through Monday, buy a set and save 15% more on the sale price. Plus, we'll throw in a frame at no extra charge when you buy a Perfect Sleeper, Posturepedic, or Back Supporter set. But that's not all. Make no payment for 90 days on purchases of $200 or more. Hurry in and save 15% more off the sale price. Now through Monday at Emporium Capwell's mattress sale.
Please move your boat.
Yuban coffee is much too rich to rush. Rich because the more Colombian beans, the richer the coffee. And Yuban is the only leading coffee that's 100% Colombian. Yuban, much too rich to rush.
Sexual exploration is virtually inevitable, given the fact that teens are constantly surrounded by sex.
Wake up, sleepyhead.
In one survey, 90% of teens said their greatest pressure to become sexually active comes from TV shows. Rock videos came next, and then came peer pressure. One study found 1/3 of 9th graders have had intercourse, which climbs to 2/3 by the 11th grade. While AIDS is uppermost in most teens' fears, other sexually transmitted diseases are a far greater problem. 1 in 10 teenage girls has chlamydia, a disease which is hard to detect and can lead to infertility. An equal number have HPV, or human papillomavirus, which can cause cervical cancer. And compared to European countries, we have the highest teen pregnancy rate.
Half of my friends are pregnant or either have babies already or had abortions or something like that. So, no, I can say more than half, the majority of them.
Out of 10 girls, 8 of them are pregnant. You know, everybody's pregnant. They're younger than I am, and some of them are a year or two older than I am.
I've known a lot of people that have been pregnant that are my age and younger.
Every girl in the jungle is pregnant. 13, 14 years old, walk around, you know, with babies.
One reason, compared to European countries, we have the least openness about sexual education and condom use. The answer for all this is if we want to get kids to practice safe sex, we've got to be able to talk to them about it. I got to tell you a funny story about sexually active, and that I have a friend of mine, his daughter, unfortunately, a teenage girl, came home pregnant. And this person, her parent, asked her, well, I didn't know you were sexually active. And she says, I'm not sexually active. And her mother, you know, questioned her a couple more times. She says, well, you know, whenever I have intercourse, I don't move a lot. So she's not sexually active, okay? You see, so everybody has a different concept. Let's talk about sex. Sex has changed. Remember the days of free love? It ain't free anymore. And the issue of sex, teenage pregnancy, sexually transmitted diseases, and AIDS, I think has changed the whole ballgame. And we're kind of honing in on this condom issue. As whose responsibility is it? Why don't you stand up and give me? Do you think that's the guy's responsibility, or should this be a woman's responsibility?
Well, no. Like on the TV, the commercial ads. They say that they don't want to have it because it will promote sex, but if sex is already going on, you might as well protect it beforehand.
Yeah, right.
With the things. If it's going to go on anyway, you might as well know beforehand.
Well, how about, do you feel, you think, would you be offended, or do you think a guy would be offended if this subject came up? Does it imply, is it like a guy thinks you're dirty or something if he uses a condom? Is there that kind of an embarrassment? Is there that part of it? I heard a teenager tell me that once.
Well, I'm not a guy, so I don't know what they feel, but they might just feel uncomfortable about the whole idea. I personally don't know.
Yeah, if the situation came up, though, you think this should be shared? This is something the woman's responsibility?
Well, if it's between the two of them, it's not just his responsibility for bringing it up, because she's going to be with him, too. It should be both of them.
I wonder what she's going to do if he says no. Can you imagine that situation? It must come up all the time. She says, would you please use a condom? He says, no. What do you do at that point, huh? You don't have to answer that one.
Okay.
All right.
I was wondering how come ABC, CBS, and NBC don't have any condom commercials. I heard on Donahue or something.
Good question. They don't. We're uptight.
They said, they weren't going to put any condom commercials on.
That's right.
So I guess
they're uptight about it. Let's face it.
You guys could help too.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. If you saw commercials, you think it would help? Do you think it would help? Well, I see them on the music channels. I see commercials for it.
It might not get you to put it on, but it might get you just to think about it.
Okay.
Well, this is just about sex education. Like in 5th grade, they take girls into one room, the boys into the other room, and they just show you the same. They show you the same movie throughout 5th, 6th, 7th. You know, even in high school, they tell you what happens, but they don't tell you the psychological effects about that.
Hey, that's important. I didn't know this. They separate you. I mean, here we are trying to promote discussion about it, because I have to tell you, adults have the same problem. The sexual difficulties adults have are in marriages and outside of marriage are based on the fact they can't communicate. They're embarrassed to bring it up. Yeah. Can I see you? Can I reach you? Let me squeeze by here for a second.
I think a lot of our parents put it in the closet because it's not going to happen to their child.
Yeah.
And my parents won't talk about it at all because, you know, I'm not going to ever do anything like that. And I think that's why they don't you know, talk about condoms and things, because, you know, my parents think it'll never happen to my daughter.
Well, my mom and I talk about it a lot, but it's like, it seems that it's always the girls talking to their mother and never where they mix it. You know, sometimes you might need to talk to your dad or talk to a guy, because you never know really how they feel. You always hear the stereotypes about men from your mom, but you never really hear what you should know. And then it's like, with the problems of protection, why couldn't it be a joint effort between the two people? And if you feel uncomfortable, why are you doing it? Because if you're so uncomfortable about protection, why do you have to have sex? If you can't talk about it, you shouldn't do it.
That's right. These things, listen, these things are real. I mean, you could die from some of these sexually transmitted diseases that you don't think any of you are going to get. And some of you in this room, you're going to get them. I mean, you're going to get them. I mean, I don't know who you are. Look at your neighbor. Look around this room. Some of you are going to face this. Some of you are going to face some awful situations, being infertile, cervical cancer, hopefully not AIDS, but it can happen. It can happen. Yeah.
I think that a major problem with people that they let the disease go on and they don't get any help or anything. They should, I think they should make treatment for it a little easier on people.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Maybe they don't even know.
I know if I had a disease or something, I'd be embarrassed to go and get treatment, because you're just afraid somebody might see you or that people might make fun of you or anything like that. It's not very.
It's part of the whole thing, isn't it? It's part of this embarrassment deal that we don't talk about these things, and it's our fear of it, in a sense, our fear of talking about it, that's even more dangerous, you know. Well, maybe things are going to change soon, because there is a female condom coming on the market, and women can begin to take control with a female condom. It's actually going to change the name of it. They're going to call it the female pouch. And it's an awful looking thing, but I'll tell you something, men may accept it more because it may represent more sensation for the man, and this whole myth about condoms feeling like they're supposed to feel. But it's a myth. If you learn how to use them properly, that really isn't true. It's not a good excuse. So women, you've got to protect yourself. And same for men. It's a two-edged sword. Okay, we'll be back with more of this special edition of Medical Journal.
Tonight, before Field of Dreams and The Natural, there was Pete Gray.
I'm going to play Major League Baseball.
Based on a man's true story.
You're going to sell a lot of tickets.
And the lives he touched.
We'll see a ball game?
Sure.
Keith Carradine stars with Mayor Winningham in A Winner Never Quits. Then, it's non-stop action.
Who told you?
With a man called Hawk.
Tonight, starting at 8 on Channel 7.
If you'd like to get government booklets on everything, from home repairs to dieting, then you'll want this free catalog. Just drop a line. Write New Catalog, Pueblo, Colorado, 81009.
Attention, this is a public announcement. Medallion Rug Gallery, the most successful handmade rug store in California, is closing its doors after 11 years of successful business. Due to their closing, you can select your handmade rug from over $8 million inventory of handmade rugs from Persia, India, China, Pakistan, and save up to 68%. Visit Medallion Rug before they close their doors at 323 University Avenue in Palo Alto. For more information, call 1-800-THE-RUGS.
A home is about comfort. It's where you should feel secure.
This is home.
Trust Ortho in your home. Ortho brings the sureness of their experience in outdoor pest control to special formulas for the home that protect you thoroughly, but carefully.
Only family and friends are allowed in this house.
You're better off with Ortho.
Ford Taurus, the leader that sets the pace in the West. Now, the Ford Taurus can be yours with $750 cash back and option discounts for a total savings of over $1,400.
let's talk a little about rock and roll. Does rock and roll encourage drug usage? Does it encourage sexuality? You hear a lot of accusations made. What about your tingly ears? You ever walk out of a concert with your ears buzzing? Well, as you're about to see, there's more to worry about than hearing loss when it comes to the impact of music nowadays. Rock, reggae, rap. Concerts are a part of life, and hearing loss can be a part of the ticket price.
I went in and got checked a while ago, and I basically have the ears of a 40-year-old man right now.
Rock guitarist Pete Townsend of The Who has lost complete hearing in one ear, so the advice is wear earplugs. But the real question is, does the music teens listen to give any indication of their mental health? Pennsylvania researchers have found some correlation when studying paintings of teens hospitalized for mental problems. This drawing represents the folk rock song Searching for a Heart of Gold and depicts alienation and loneliness. Often, kids listen to music from decades ago. This one depicted isolation from parents. Teens into heavy metal were most often isolated and withdrawn and even psychotic, drawing dark, gloomy monsters and death imagery. But contrary to some legal cases, there's no proof that the music is the cause of the antisocial behavior. Rather, it's a reflection of the teens' inner turmoil. Also, no studies have shown any real link between drug use and music, although sexuality is clearly linked. All in all, rock, reggae, and rap music just seem to be the language of teenagers.
This is what we're trying to say. Respect yourself, protect yourself. You better not take no drug.
I want to thank everybody for coming down and joining us for this program. I want to thank also the parents who are about to hear the same kind of questions. I hope when you guys go home and talk to them about it. And I think let that be the theme of this show, all right? Openness and communication, because that's all there is. That's all there is. That's the only place you can really go for this kind of information, the only way you can really make inroads, I think. And that's also a message to parents is, you heard some kids say here they can't talk to you about some of these problems. So openness and communication, maybe we can make some changes. All right, until next time, be well, more important, be happy.
If you'd like to join Dr. Edell in the studio audience, give us a call at 954-7216 for free tickets. That's 954-7216 for tickets to Dr. Edell's Medical Journal.